Okay. Well, we have just highlighted in that session and today the unique contribution of next generation voices to the national security field. And our annual conference, of course, would not be complete without recognizing CNAS's First Lieutenant Andrew J. Bacevich Jr. Award winners. We established the award in honor of First Lieutenant Andrew Bacevich, who was killed in combat on May 13, 2007, in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom. He served in the 3rd Battalion, the 8th Cavalry Regiment, 1st Cavalry Division. Lieutenant Bacevich was committed to national service, and through his service to country, he represented the best that the next generation of Americans have to offer. He exemplified courage, integrity, and a commitment to public service to which I think all of us aspire. So we take a moment at each of our annual conferences to remember Lieutenant Bacevich and to recognize emerging leaders on the CNAS team who exemplify the kinds of values and the kinds of attributes that Lieutenant Bacevich modeled so well. Before we talk about this year's award winners, I just wanted to thank once again Dr. Andrew Bacevich and Nancy Bacevich for allowing CNAS to name this award after your son so that year after year, we are able to recognize the characteristics that he so wholly embraced. Today, I have the distinct privilege of recognizing two extraordinary individuals as the 2025 Bacevich Award winners, Sam Howell and Emma Swislow. Sam Howell is an associate fellow with the Technology and National Security Program at CNAS. Her unwavering consistency and level-headed approach have made her a model for other junior researchers and a pillar of reliability within the organization. Throughout her tenure, Sam has expertly stepped in during moments of transition, completing critical projects without seeking the spotlight. Sam demonstrates not only intellectual excellence, but also a rare humility and kindness, and her ability to pair substantive expertise with diligence and collegiality makes her deserving of this year's recognition. Emma Swislow is the senior editor on the publications team here at CNAS. Her quiet strength and her steady dedication make an extraordinary impact behind the scenes. Emma brings clarity, structure, and grace to the ever-changing landscape of the center's work. She expertly manages the chaos, I think we could say, of deadlines across our 8 research programs. Her sharp editorial eye, her sound judgment, and her calm presence have elevated the quality of CNAS's publications, and they've enabled those around her to thrive. She makes the center's work shine, and she takes deep pride in the success of others. So congratulations to both of you, Sam and Emma, on being this year's 2025 Bacevich Award nominees or Bacevich Award winners. And I will now hand it over to Sam for a few words.
Thank you, Richard, and thank you all for being here today. I'm incredibly humbled to receive the 2025 Bacevich Award alongside Emma Swislow, a colleague whose kindness, integrity, and talent I've long admired. I'd first like to thank CNAS co-founders Michelle Flournoy and Kurt Campbell for creating this award. The Bacevich Award is a wonderful example of what makes CNAS so special. Thanks to Michelle and Kurt's vision for the organization, CNAS is a place where uplifting others matters just as much as doing great work. It's a place that prioritizes service and mentorship. It's an inspiring and enjoyable place to work and grow. I'd also like to thank those who have made my experience at CNAS so positive, challenging, and rewarding. Thank you to Richard Fontaine for modeling effective and compassionate leadership. Thank you to Paul Shari for believing in me and investing in my development. Thank you to Martin Rasser, Vivek Chalukri, and Kate Kuzminski for opening doors and giving me the tools needed to succeed. Next, I'd like to thank and speak directly to the Bacevich family. You crossed my mind last week as I sat in a football stadium in Colorado Springs and watched my brother, Ethan, graduate from the U.S. Air Force Academy. I thought about the pride you surely felt for Andrew's service. I thought about the awe and admiration you surely held for his tenacity and self-discipline. I thought about the mix of emotions with which you surely grappled, the joy that stems from witnessing someone you cherish fulfill a dream, and the simultaneous fear of what his country might one day ask of him. I thought about what an immense privilege it is to receive the Bacevich Award. What an honor it is to receive an invitation to help carry forth the legacy of someone else's loved one. You've gifted me an opportunity to remember Andrew through my own life and career. This is a responsibility that I will not take lightly. As a proud new Bacevich Fellow, I promise to draw upon Andrew's example of courageous, selfless, and dedicated service. I pledge to approach my work with rigor and intention. I pledge to never settle for good enough, to hold high standards, to pursue excellence in everything I do. I pledge to listen, think critically, and speak up when I have something to contribute. I pledge to thank those who helped me and pay it forward by lending a hand to the next generation. I pledge to celebrate the achievements of others. I pledge to strive for impact rather than promotions. I pledge to always put America's interests ahead of my own. Thank you.
Congratulations again, Sam. And now we will hear a few words from Emma Swislow. Emma.
Good afternoon, everyone. I want to start today by extending my deep gratitude to Dr. Bacevich and Nancy Bacevich for allowing CNAS to honor their son Andrew's legacy through this award. It's an incredible privilege to receive it, especially alongside Sam, my office mate and friend, and to be able to speak with you all. During my nearly 5 years at CNAS, I've had the opportunity to edit hundreds of reports about subjects ranging from the U.S. tech competition with China to the plight of women and girls in Afghanistan. I also spent a year at the Pentagon working with 2 CNAS alums, I'll add, which showed me what policymaking looks like in action. And it taught me how to communicate that policy with the press and Congress and the public. In addition, I've worked closely with my colleagues at CNAS to include and platform new and underrepresented voices in national security. And there are 2 main things that I've taken from these experiences. First, being able to clearly explain the complexities of decision-making to an audience that goes far beyond our very small community here in Washington is nearly as important as policymaking itself. By providing accurate, digestible information on topics that are very complicated, we make it possible for people from across the country and world to have nuanced conversations about things that eventually do impact them, whether indirectly or directly. Second, to create effective and equitable policy, our country's decision makers must come from a diverse array of backgrounds. At the Pentagon, some of my colleagues had served in the military, others had worked for the federal government their entire careers, some came from academia, and others from the private sector. But each had their own way of solving problems based on their prior experiences, and bringing them together helped create more well-rounded policies. The point being, diversity is a strength, not a weakness. And before wrapping up, I'd like to acknowledge some of the many people who have been so indispensable and important in my career so far. First, I'd like to thank my boss and mentor, Mara McCarthy, who has just been the most supportive, encouraging, and all-around wonderful supervisor I could have ever asked for. I'd like to thank Richard Fontaine, Paul Shari, Anna Saito-Carson, and Kate Kuzminski. The 4 of you have taught me what leadership looks like, and I'm incredibly grateful for your commitment to the center's junior staff. I'd also like to give an especially warm and appreciative thank you to my colleagues on the publications, design, and communications teams. Without you, CNAS wouldn't be what it is. This conference would not be happening, and I feel so lucky to work with each and every one of you. And finally, I would be remiss if I didn't thank my parents. Both of them are professional editors who instilled in me the importance of good writing, critical thinking, and reading widely. It's such an honor, so thank you.